What if I told you a more loving world is emerging right now? Hey guys, it's John sitting here in my living room enjoying a fabulous mug of broth. I'm currently on the second week of my prepping for my water fast, which starts this Saturday coming up. And I thought I'd hop on and talk about this idea of seeing the beautiful, loving world emerging around us, despite all the chaos that seems to be happening. You know, when you look at the world right now, there are people on both sides of the political spectrum. And you're seeing a lot of things that seem very hateful or harmful to others and that don't respect humanity as a whole. There's a lot of things that are being shown right now. But when we look at the concept of creating a more loving world, there's always a process of, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Well, the 1 step back is a fear reaction. They're literally reacting to the advancement of humanity, and the people who are fearful and want it to be the way it was, jump into power and they try to fight and they argue and they try to pull it backwards. But over the long term, what happens is we get closer and closer to a more loving world. And the way you understand this is that, this moment is a speck in time. It's a speck in time. It's over the long course of time that you find the big movements of change. My good friend Tim and I were talking just yesterday about when we were kids, the social environment was very different. I mean, when we were kids in our hometown, homosexuality was not as broadly accepted. People of color were marginalized even worse than they are today. And we talked about some of the things that we as young men, had falling out of our mouth naturally because it was the norm of the time. And how we don't use any of the terminology anymore and how we've changed that perspective. My son is an amazing young man. And I just love him to death. I think he's a beautiful, wonderful person. And that to me is more important than anything he does in life accomplishment-wise. If he is a beautiful, loving person, then I feel like I've been a successful parent. The interesting thing about my son is his entire class. He went to a Waldorf school. He went from pre-kindergarten all the way up to 8th grade in the Waldorf school. His entire class doesn't see race. It doesn't have bias towards gender. It's okay with homosexuality. It's very open and free and looks at people like they're just people. He has no issues with any of those biases that we had 50 years ago. And the world is advancing towards a more beautiful and loving world. But there are going to be these times of growing pains when the people who are afraid of change are going to create, the issues that look like we're going backwards. Well, those moments of going backwards are going to do a couple things. The people who are so used to these changes that I see in my son and his class are going to have these impacts of these backward movements even more harshly. And when they really experience it, it just makes it more obvious that we need to remove this from our society. And so what happens is they get a reminder that this is not the world we want to create. This is not the world we want to live into. And so these big lashing out will actually rise up the masses against it again, and it will end up getting knocked out of the situation again, and we'll take 2 more steps forward. The idea of this is everywhere I go in the world, people are waking up to being a kinder world. And the reason is because as they find that being kind and loving to others, they find they don't have to hold as much air in. They don't have to have as much fear because the world starts to reflect back to them the loving kindness that they are putting out. And the media, the news, their job is sensationalism right now. They're all about marketing the thing that seems so crazy. And in reality, if you look at the world right now, there are so many more things going on that are positive towards other people. But the negative stuff is getting the better press. because it sells more. It gets better ratings. It's um, it seems when you watch the news that darkness and fear is the predominant element of the world. In reality, I've been all over the world. What's most important to everybody in this world is their family. And these ideologies and these concepts of fear, hate, and division is not helpful to the family. And the less people see the things that are helpful to the family, the more they will rise up to bring those things back to the equation.
And now, a quick word from our sponsor. Coffee Time with John. This channel runs off coffee, so get your coffee and tea at johnsjoe.com.
We can't let fear define our reality. The Buddha says the secret to enlightenment is the eradication of fear. If we allow fear to define our reality, then we're going to create that fearful world. And what's so interesting is I just think naturally we are overcoming these fearful things, because as these fearful things rear their ugly heads, they basically are exposing themselves to the world to be seen, and the world doesn't want it. The world doesn't want those fearful things. And you say, well, some people voted for this way, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's more people who want to live in a loving world than there are people who want to live in a fearful, hateful world. But the key is if you succumb to the fear and hate, and give up the idea of a more beautiful, loving future, you're actually empowering the hate. So you stay in this beautiful idea. The Bhagavad Gita says, thought by thought you forge your destiny. Therefore, to keep your mind on the positive rather than the negative is considered the austerity of the mind. Keeping your mind focused on the positive outcome, the beautiful, loving world. And when your mind is focused that way, your actions follow, and you start showing more love and compassion to people. The more love and compassion you show to people, the more they'll give you love and compassion in return. There are so many people out there in the world who are afraid of not being powerful, afraid of not being wealthy, afraid of not being, they're all afraid. And all they're doing is they're trying to find ways to make them feel powerful, to make them wealthy. And in reality, it's their own fear and their own insecurities that are making them do that. And the more compassion we have for those people, the more compassion we have for their fear, right? We go, okay, they're doing bad, horrible things, or things that at least seem that way. And in reality, the majority of the world doesn't want those things to happen. So eventually they will fall. The powerful who are doing it for power or money always fall. They always fall. The people always move forward. The people who are narcissistically leading, they always fall. Always. And look at the course of history. Every one of them has fallen. And the world has progressed forward in more positive ways. When you find somebody in the world that is fearful like that, do something kind for them. Let them know they're safe. Let them know that they have that loving compassion. I see a more beautiful world coming, but I see it could come faster if more people would just be more compassionate and just love, and see the fear. When you see that person saying hateful, harmful, negative things, you exhale. You release the fear reaction to what they're saying. Realize it's their fear, not yours, and you're not going to feed their fear by being fearful. They are lashing out in fear to make you fearful, so that their fear makes them feel powerful, or their fear or your fear makes you give them more money. And the reality of it is that you don't have to be fearful. The secret to enlightenment is the eradication of fear. That's the Buddha. Remember that historically, times of chaos come right before a major change for the positive. Right before. Chaos comes because it's the growing pains of a more beautiful future. We are in a chaotic time right now. And that chaotic time is just the growing pains of a more beautiful future. And the more you realize that you don't give them that power, and you stay focused on, no, we're not doing that, we are doing this, and you stay focused on, we are doing this beautiful, loving world where people are equal and inclusive and have the best opportunities, then what happens is those people just get diminished because you're not giving them the power that they're trying to demand of you by making you fearful. Right now, people are questioning old beliefs. That's why the Christian churches have lost 54% of their congregations in the past 20 years. And the latest Pew Research study says that is increasing. People are leaving faster. There's a lot of people who will say, I don't see that. I see all kinds of people coming to the church. All of the studies show exactly the opposite. People are running away from old-fashioned fear-based beliefs. When the old-fashioned fear-based beliefs start to feel their grip being taken from them, they lash out and they create a big ruckus. And that's where we are right now. The reason they're creating the ruckus is because they're afraid of losing grip, afraid of losing the power. The other day I talked to someone who was in Israel when the attack happened. And one of the things we talked about was the idea that marginalized people, have this shock of not being equal. And as my son's class proves, that's going away. This idea, I travel around the world and I have wonderful experiences everywhere, but I'm not going there with old beliefs that are fear-based or power-driven. And so when I look at this concept of where are we headed with this world, we are definitely headed towards a more loving, more beautiful, more equal world. There are many, many things that prove that right now. And understand that this chaos and this scary tactics that we're seeing right now are not because we're not moving forward. It's because the people who are trying to stop us from moving forward are losing grip. And they're doing all these crazy things. Remember the Socrates quote, when the debate is lost, slander becomes the tool of the loser. The actions they're taking are slanderous. They're marginalizing people. They're knocking people down. They're trying to lean into conspiracies and all these things because it's a fear-based tactic to get you to leave your present moment and give it to them. Your present moment is your pinpoint of power. Your present moment is a place where you get to choose, I am creating a loving world. And if you let someone scare you into a dystopian future belief in a world that's heading towards a more beautiful belief, you will get sucked into their drama. Write your own story. Don't be a character in theirs. Be in this moment, loving and caring, and choose to be the outcome. Be the change you want to see in the world. Don't let their fears and anxieties and stresses and their need for power to make themselves feel powerful affect you. Because no one can affect you without your permission. You're the one who gives it, and you give it with your I am. I am living a loving life. I am living a joyful life. I am creating a beautiful environment around me. And there are more of us than there are of them. And I swear to you, we are moving towards a more beautiful, loving world. And this is just an anomaly along the way. That's why it seems so crazy and in your face, because it's an anomaly. It's not the norm. And so keep your mind on the positive outcome. Choose to create the loving life in all of your daily interactions with people. Hold doors for people, help people with groceries. Just simply smile at someone and give them a nod, say hello, make a connection. Those small interactions of kindness and gratitude and positivity create a ripple effect in the world, and they actually speed up the process of creating a loving world. Somebody asked me yesterday about my political leanings. And most people can probably extrapolate what my political leanings are, but my response was that I'm a one-issue voter. My one issue's name is Kynan Davis. He's my son. I will vote for anybody who I believe will give my son a more loving world, a more caring world, the best opportunity to live in that loving and caring world, and all the opportunities to thrive. And because I'm staying focused on the positive outcome. I'm staying focused on the beautiful world, and shift your own perspective about this, because it really is, the more you stay focused on the positive, loving outcome, the more we create it and the faster it comes. In your life, where have you seen that love triumph? And acknowledge it. Realize that your love triumphs over fear, hate, and anxiety, because as the Gospel of John says, perfect love drives out fear. You be that perfect love, no matter what they say, no matter who they are bashing. Anger does nothing. Anger just is a fear-based reaction in itself. See it and say, no, I'm not doing that. Be like the water. Let it flow right past, right? Flow right past. They come at you with a bunch of stuff. Be flexible. Let it fly by, because that's their fear, not yours. And the more you lean into their fears, you're living their life and not your own. Be in this moment. Live in this moment. Love in this moment. We will create a more loving world. It's happening. And all of these crazy things that are happening that seem fear-based are just the anomalies that are bubbling out of our loving world. And the more we stay focused on the loving world, the less power those anomalies have. And that's my thought on this. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See you. Bye.